So today I was thinking of just broaching the topic of opposites. We always like to believe that we are exclusive, we are unique, and that they are all different. They are completely different. And just by doing that, just by thinking that, you create a great divide between you and the rest of the world. And you get isolated in your imagined sense of identity. What you think is your memory, is your thoughts, is your vision. You just get locked and lost in that. And you feel that the other party, the other group, the ones that follow the other religion, the other political party, the other country, the other people, are poles apart from you. They're total, you keep hearing that word, right? That we are poles apart. We're completely different. Like we are night and that is day. We are black and that is white. But if you take a magnet, and if you actually cut off one pole, right, a little piece of the magnet, it'll again develop another north pole. And then you cut it off again, and it'll again develop another north, and it'll become shorter and shorter and shorter till there'll be no difference between the north and the south pole. Polarity is like that. It's not completely different. It is on the opposite ends of a continuum. It is part of the same knowledge, the same identity. Knowledge of darkness is knowledge of day. Knowledge of night is knowledge of day. Knowledge of pain is knowledge of joy. It all kind of comes together. You have self-esteem on one end and you have arrogance on the other. Right? Everything moves at different levels on the same continuum. It is part of the same thing, and it goes with the flow of what I've been talking, that there is only one. There are no two. There is only one. This is the entire Vedantic approach, that we like to believe that we are different, that we are exclusive, that we are this, that we are that. But we continually are getting involved in this play of opposites, and we're giving each other titles and labels that just do not matter. They are just words. They are just labels. It is exactly the same thing. In what way can you appreciate daylight if you had no knowledge of the darkness that went before it? In what way can you appreciate evil if there is no good in this world? That is why we can call something good and something evil. And it all happens within the same umbrella of consciousness, within the same umbrella of the absolute. This takes place, that takes place. Life takes place, death takes place. We understand birth only if we understand death. Right? We don't want to have anything to do with death, but we're very happy with the birth. Birth and death are two ends of the same continuum. If one happens, the other does too. You cannot get one without the other. Both take place simultaneously. And if you don't get a sense of it's all okay, it's all taking place, it's not them, it's not out there, it's not different, it is all the same thing happening, then you start to accept this world of opposites in a much more realistic fashion. You don't reject that as something that's the opposite of what you're doing. It is in reality not an opposite. It is not an opposite. It is just a gradation of color. Even when you have night, there is no complete darkness. There's always a little bit of light, isn't it? And similarly, in the daytime, when the sun goes behind a cloud or something, there is a little bit of darkness. There is darkness in daylight and daylight in darkness. This is what we have to understand, that we are not completely good, that we are not completely bad, that we are not completely stupid, that we are not completely intelligent, that we are not completely enlightened, that we are not completely atheistic, whatever. It's all a matter of gradation. There is a little of this, there is a little of that. And when you realize that, there is much more acceptance of your own failings. You don't see them really as failings. When you go from self-esteem, like certain actions we perform to feel better about ourselves, this improves our self-esteem. For example, you dress nicely, right? But at some point, that dressing gets to the point of arrogance when you think you are better than the rest, right? So at which part of that is not acceptable, is beyond the limit, and which part of that is acceptable? You talk to someone who is extremely arrogant, they will say, no, I'm just supremely self-confident. I know exactly what I'm doing. Truth and lies. You talk to somebody, at what point does truth become lies? You know that the truth is that the sun rises and the sun sets. But does it really? Does the sun do anything like rising? And does the sun do anything like setting? Neither does the sun rise, nor does the sun set. So what is truth and what is lies? Sunrise and sunset are part of the same continuum. Sunrise is when you see the sun, sunset is when you let the sun go. You don't see the sun anymore. Birth is when you take on a body, death is when you let it go. Right? We get caught up in this play of opposites. This play continuously about good, doing only good and not doing, rejecting the evil, accepting this religion, rejecting the other religion, accepting this group, rejecting the other, accepting this culture, rejecting the other. It all happens together. It all happens. It's all part of the same continuum. There is one in the other. There is one in the other. And you see that a lot. You understand that a lot with the analogy that I gave of night and day. Of pain and joy. Pain and joy is we run away from pain and we go towards pleasure. Let's not say joy, but let's say pleasure, because pain and pleasure are on the same continuum. Somewhere along the line, there's joy, there's happiness, there's bliss, there's all of those things, right? And in pleasure, like you keep on indulging, you keep eating chocolate cake. You eat one piece, you eat two pieces, you eat three pieces, you eat a whole cake, you buy the second cake. At some point, that pleasure diminishes and pain starts to arise. Even in the pleasure, there will be pain. And even in your pain, you can find moments of happiness. There are people I have known that, are in the worst stages of cancer. They know they're going to die. And yet they are able to find in that moments of sheer bliss, sheer joy in connecting with others. So to know one is to know the other. You cannot know one without knowing the other. The trick is not to get pulled in opposite directions. I'm extremely happy, I had a beautiful day, everything was fine. And tomorrow's like, oh my God, my boss is back and I can't, this is such a miserable day and there's so much work and there's nothing to do. Oh, today I made a great sale, I made so much money, I'm so happy, I've got so much money. No, I spent all my money, I bought a beautiful dress. See, this yo-yoing constantly between one extreme and the other, it causes turmoil. When we realize that we are also the pleasure, also the pain, also the darkness, also the light, also the good, also the evil, there is a certain balance that's achieved. We are not pulled towards good events, rejecting the bad, but we accept both as being two hands, two parts of our existence. This part and this part, both are needed. You need your left hand and your right hand. You can't say, I only want my right hand, my left hand is useless, I want to cut it and throw it. You can't say that. You need both. Right? But when both are in balance, the left doing what the left does best and the right doing what the right does best, there is a certain equanimity. And that is precious. That is what we see.